not likely to look for ways of solving things. So he wasn't the kind of person that buys cars, buy all those things. But for those three, he was number one. And I grew up observing that. So when I got married, nobody needed to lesson me on education, shelter, feeding. I grew up knowing that was the responsibility of a man. Are you with me? But by the time I started selling books, I started coming in contact with books on parenting, James Dobson, people like that who had been in that area for years. I can't count, The Strong-Willed Child, all those kind of books. We read them then. And so before I started even having children, I already had exposure to all types of parenting, the absentee parents, all those things. It was James Dobson that said children spend time, love. So I knew before I became a parent that no matter how rich I became, it is my time with my children that is the love that I have for them. So when my two sons, several years ago, got admission to Covenant, I was going to Covenant every two weeks till they graduated. My wife would go on a Sunday. I would be in church preaching. After service, you were there. But during the week, I wanted to know your dean. I wanted to know your head of department. I wanted to know your porter. I wanted to know the room. I wanted to know the people you stay with. So I gave my time to them. They are finished from Covenant. One is doing his masters. The other one is the CEO of all our schools now. I made sure I was present. I was present. Not my money. I was present. Because I discovered that like you will later find out, many parents don't monitor. The teacher's job is not to monitor your children. It is your own job. They can help educate, infuse, but your duty is to monitor. I remember when Isaac was in Dansol. We didn't have secondary school then. And one in his GS1, I went to Dansol on a weekday and found out that my son was sitting at the back. I told the teacher, I'm sorry. I used to sit at the back and I know what we do at the back. We were very playful. And if then my dad had come, I probably would not be sitting there. But I went to a boarding school. So, please, let my son sit in the front. He said, it's those that have eyes problem. I said, he doesn't have eyes problem. He will sit in the front. So, you could understand where monitoring comes in. No matter how brilliant they are, the tendency is there that without monitoring, they could stray a bit. So if you're a parent here, monitoring is not needed. That came from a value-driven home. It's not an excuse. Because later I found out in discussions with them that they knew guys who also smoke, who also drink, and then their value comes in. So that's how it is. So I'm standing here on behalf of myself and my wife. Isaac is here, our first fruit. Thank you. I hope that has put a few things into our appetite before we start this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Basa.
Thank you so much. I see that there are more things to come. Sir, please have your seat, sir. Have your seat, sir. So, Isaac, a round of applause for Isaac, the gentle, cool, and resourceful guy. Gentle, cool, and resourceful guy. You know he's my guy. A round of applause for Isaac, please. A round of applause for him. Also, we'll be having Mrs. Obasa. Can somebody up on the stage, please?
Thank you.
With my dad. So I was upset with my dad in 2020, the way they are right now. And we had this chat. And we decided that this year, let's bring it back this year. So we could hear testimonials. Sometimes not just like same examples. So you know that it's possible. Parents in your own generation are getting it right. It means that you can do this too. But some people have thrown their hands up in the air thinking that what can anybody do? It has all gone wrong. So I want to welcome the new families. Like Jeff saying that he wants to say Mr. I was just laughing. So he was first a Mr. before he became a pastor. So he hasn't thrown it away. So Isaac, great to have you. You are representing Joshua, I believe. Okay, so I'm going to start with you. He has already told us some stories, and I remember once my daughter got in to see you, he told me about how he used to go to Covenant University every 2 weeks, and why he had to do that, not because he didn't trust them, but because he wanted to be sure, and how that his wife will alternate, and then he encouraged us that Emma, like yes, sir, we are doing that too. Even though we've not been able to make the 2 weeks, except when she wasn't feeling too well, we had to go more often. But we ensure that we go. It's almost 2 weeks safe. That's why it's in a month now. Yes, we try to see her at least once a month. Now, Isaac, how did it feel? I know that a lot of young people don't like you showing up in their space. Like, what's happening? I mean, this is talk your talk. Like, don't look at that side. I mean, you're one of your own now, so to speak. You run the business of the family, and so that means that you can speak for yourself. If you decide to get married now, nothing will happen, right? So that's why I say you're not your God. So feel free to say it just as it is. Did you like the fact that they were coming regularly to see you invest?
I think I'll need to add a bit of perspective to that. I was quite smaller in stature when I entered uni, so that was first constraint. Second constraint was that also coupled with my young age in school so as well.
When you got into school?
I was 14. So that coupled with that, and I already had issues maybe initially when I was going to write my GC and every other thing. People ask if I was in conversations and all these things. So it was kind of like a usual setting then. But I was kind of used to it. But I think the first week was also because I didn't go to a boarding school. So that was like my first experience outside home for a long while. So the first week was all the excitement. My first 3-4 days was the excitement of, I'm in this new environment, I'm meeting new people, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. And then the following weeks were sorrowful, in quotes. So I had issues where I'll get asked random questions a lot, and people will talk behind my back and say, what a pity, pushed him out of the house, kind of thing, and all of that. So it was kind of like a stressful situation, confidence-wise. Which is why I needed to add that context, because it just wasn't about him coming and me being embarrassed. It was more about the support that kept coming and that kind of remembrance. So I remember that time, got to a while, usually I have a way of sorting out my emotional problems. Usually once I have a phrase to say to it, I usually feel okay. So I think then I remember I used to say, I'm here because my parents love me and I need to learn. And so that was the remembrance that I had to find out from stability. Because aside from that,
What about that phrase? How did you come about it?
I remember the second week, I said I was going back home. Second week, I said I was going back home, and to be honest, I cried a lot. And then my mom still initially say, there's nothing you want to do about it, God's plan, just go with it. And so they kept calling just to make sure that I was okay. So once I got to the 8th week, I didn't even call home anymore, to be honest. I was fine. And from then on, I was pretty much comfortable then. But I think to now overextend to the perspective of him coming regularly, I think everybody knew, oh, this is your dad. Course advisor knew, dean knew, everybody knew. So usually there was this trend where people would miss classes, and I knew I couldn't. Even though I don't miss any lectures, it's not how I learn, but I knew I just couldn't miss classes because eventually your father will come one day, it's your time table, apparently I'm in class. So, and he didn't, at that point early on, he didn't inform us, he just showed up. He just found out, he knew his way around, he knew his way to the office, and all of those things. So, also because I knew I couldn't get into problems, unnecessary problems, things that would put a different picture onto where I came from and the kind of setting I put my father in. So, yeah, that was what the experience was like.
Awesome. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you for sharing. Questions here. I'm tempted to do follow to what you said. So that's I'm allowing that to rest a bit from this short talk. And that's the fact that a lot of children would say, oh, I'm from this family, and there's a need to protect. They feel that it's a weight. And then it doesn't allow them to express themselves the way every other child would. And from one of the lines you said,
yes, so from then on, I pretty much did not have to live with something I was not familiar with. So it was not really about anything commercial, it was just like natural nature. It came to, I know people get this kind of things like, oh, if you get first in class, you get this award, you get this. It was never about that with my parents. It was always like an expectation they had. To be honest, I didn't get any honest reward for getting top in class or anything. I always came first, I always got better percentages, I always set higher goals. But there was no, oh, for getting this is your reward. So it was always
out for the children. And what did it cost you? We need to get practical investment or sacrifices, just so that we can also go in.
Thank you again, Mr. Professor. It begins with the t-shirt.
Okay.
Then. So, but I mean, I mean, not maintaining standards is quite difficult. Then there was a stronger standard. I went to military school, and there were structures, there were things. We were brought up in such a way that you couldn't. There was no way to deviate. Lesser distractions like we have now. There are no phones. No, maybe once in a while we come to watch TV. Maybe National Day or Nigeria is playing a match. There are no TVs. There's nowhere to go. We have prep time and all that. So we had that, but we were intentional about how we wanted our children to do. I give you a good example. We were going to scout for the right space, scout for the right association. We were deliberate. It wasn't as if any school that was available, whatever we can afford, we looked for schools. We look for the owners of the school. We look for their vision before we could allow our children go study in schools before we had our own schools. So that was there. My wife was conscious of when our children are walking on the road and they pass elderly people and they don't greet them, and it's like she taps them, go back, and she didn't hear, she will hear now. You know, we did a lot of things because if you are not intentional about it, you likely be a reactive parent. Something goes wrong, then you show up. Then something didn't go right, then you show up. So we had our values, we prayed together. Whenever we wanted to make a major decision, we pray. We're going to do it together because this is a defining. So that was intentional because as they got older, you want to make a major decision. You do what we've been through together. And then we take collective decisions. Like I saw your daughters, collective decisions. The key word is a family that is not built, a parenting culture that is not built on intentional actions. You're going to have problems.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because it therefore means that it's a default setting and it can go wrong or go right. You can't pray that you are lucky. It's better to work it out. I'm coming back to the point of together. What about you have a situation where, or what do you do, or someone is in-house, what do you do when you have a situation where that togetherness factor is missing? One of the parents believes that everything should be done together. The other doesn't really see or values it like. How did you, who amongst both of you was sold the together vision and the other one had to buy it too? Because I know that there are few cases, the woman is the one saying they was, and some men will say, leave them, don't leave my son. Or the other time is the father that is, and the wife, no, still a child. That together, such a situation where when the child is doing something, they can tell that dad and mom are one on this. You cannot pass any of them, like forget. How would you encourage, or how did you, let's just take your own story.
Okay, yes. I will bring perspectives. Let me start with the fact that we learned very early that children have tendencies of going to the weaker parent to get approval. And so we came to a point where we decided we are going to be agreeing on our stand. So we had this meeting, my wife and I, and we said, look, whenever they want to take permission, ask them, have they spoken to me? And if they come to me, I will ask them, have they spoken to you?
What if they say she said it's okay, or he said it's okay?
I'll just tell them that, just give me a few minutes. And I'll get back to her. Because we discovered that very soon, if they find out that you are the weaker parent, the tendency is to go through you for everything they want to do. And then the other parent will find out later. And sometimes it may be too late. So that's why I said, let's bring perspective to it. So we had to agree very early that we're going to be. So when we decided that, okay, you could go visit your friends. You are now in the university. You go visit your friends. And your friends can come visit you. But no friend would stay in our house beyond 7. And you are not going to stay out beyond 7. We agreed. So that helped to put boundaries. Then yes. When it's the case of one parent wants togetherness, the other don't want, I would always suggest that there's what we call head start. You get across to the other person that is not so much interested earlier, before decisions come up, such that you already have the person's approval. Because, like I said, different strokes for different families. So then sometimes it is by default. Maybe there's one parent that is always very busy, always worrying after projects, and there's one other parent that is always available. So that means, in case we are suffering here, watching all over the world, that you need to have head start. Before those decisions have to be taken, you should have discussions about them. Maybe over the dinner table, over the breakfast table, over lunch table, other times. But head starts will help. Somebody has to just push the togetherness vision, whether it's the father or the mother, so that the children don't have the problem of taking the cracks in between the parents, and then the values are not passed across. Thank you.
Thank you. Final question, and I think the MC is close by to take over from here. I'm going to just give the last shot here. What would you say the family values of the Olufemis are. Are they articulated? If you were in a room, if this was a game, and you were put in a room, and dad or Joshua or mom were in different rooms, and the game is, do you know your family values? What are those things that is possible that everybody will say?
I think I'll comment on 4. There are usually a lot.
Okay, so let's core, the core ones.
Yes. Spirituality was one. That was like a consistent thing across my upbringing up to now. Spirituality, purpose. My mom will emphasize purpose every single time. And so when external people will come and say, as long as you make money, as long as you do this, it was always a red flag. So purpose, work ethic. So and this is not like something they mentioned out of saying sake. It was something I grew up saying, and so it became like a standard for me also as well. Work ethic, and finally intellectual investments. So I know my dad started out selling books, so I pretty much grew around the library, and so at first it was just the usual academic books. But once I go into university and everything, I pretty much just started to pick up one by one. In fact, I have problems. I basically just go to the library and pick up books. I think so far, not to brag, but just to emphasize the point of the value, I've read over 500 books. And it's just like a constant thing going. And these are non-fiction, by the way. I'm not into fiction. These are non-fiction books that I just pick up and I learn from, basically. So those are the 4 core values I would say.
Awesome. Please put your hands together for the Olufemis. Jeff or Yemi, do you want us to take questions? I can see the pop-up on using the slide to ask questions because they may need to leave anytime soon. Should we take questions? Do you have questions for the Olufemis? Okay, someone has got a question.
Secondly, right after this session, we'll be having another panel session with our discussants. So if you have questions in the course of the conversation, there is a link that is being projected on the slides. Please use that to send your questions so that we can collate the questions and ask them afterwards. But any other question? You, sir. So 3 questions. Thank you very much. So please, your name and your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mrs. Deborah, thank you, the Olufemis. I really appreciate and honor your family. Thank you so much. But in the aspect of, you were saying something that whenever you decide something and probably one of them goes to the mom also, you ask them if they have spoken to you, and they'll return back you. If probably one of them comes to the mom and they say, okay, go and talk to your daddy. And you want to confirm if truly they have spoken to their mom, and they said no. So I was the question is, won't there be saying that you are strict to them? Or because at some point, a starting stage of a child while growing, they'll feel their parents is not giving them the freedom they want. They want to say they want to live this way, and because of that, some children are hiding some things from their parents because they'll say when you go to daddy will say the same thing with mom. How do you do that aspect? I believe you understand my question. Thank you so much, sir.
I think we should take the 3 questions together. So,
I'll need a pen. Thank you.
second question.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Perez Joseph, and my question is, okay, let me start like this. You know, as you grow up, you said, my question is for you. I cannot remember your name properly, but you said as you grow up, your dad Isaac. Yes. So you said as you go, when you were growing up, your dad was your role model. But as you grew up, you had to like find. So what of in a case where, like, you are probably at my age now? I'm over 16. So you're probably at my age now, and you're like, and of course your father was not like perfect. There were like some things there were like some traits you saw in him that you don't want to have. But your father is insisting on that trait now. Let me make an example. Number one, I like to be a selfless person, like absolutely selfless. I'm that kind of person that can offer my seat to a child. Like when I'm a child, and I prefer standing, But my parents find that thing as like, guy, you are dumb. I've literally been called like, guy, don't be stupid. My God, do this, They feel like, so like to them, it's not, they feel like you should take care of yourself first, but not in a bad way. It's just like the way they feel. So how would you like treat stuff like that? How would you deal with it? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. So our last and final question.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. My name is Emmanuel. Sir, so regarding, I'm also passionate about parenting like as well. So regarding the area of the books you talked about, I want to know what prompted you to start selling books. Was it because of finance or your passion for books? That book area is a very crucial area parents need to start on. Many parents don't read books, and it's an issue. So I want you to really press on that so that some parents can take it, the importance of books, and what prompted you to start selling books. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let me start from the last one because I like Isaac to answer most of those other questions. I found out when I finished from the university, when I got hold of a book called Following God's Plans for Your Life by Kenneth Abel, that my future was not in what I studied in university, but in God's plans for my life. So I found out that I was going to be a pastor. I needed to know beyond what I knew, so that anytime I opened my mouth to speak, I'll be able to be giving you the best advice, the smartest advice. I don't have to go through what you went through. So I needed to buy books. And at that time, I'm talking about as far back as 95, because you can't sell a book you have not read. So I started buying books. For every book I sold, I had a copy. Most of the people I know today who are high flyers that you talk about, I was the one that they were looking to. People came to my house to come and buy books. Many of the big pastors today, they will come to my house to come and buy books. Because there was no book you are looking for, I will know where that book can be found. So, to answer your question, I started selling books to first know realities I didn't have. There's no way I will have them if I don't read books. Two, to be able to afford those books. Sonny Ojengbesi used to be the one that was importing many of those books those days. And then the books, you couldn't afford them except you sold to banks, you sold to big companies, and then you can afford them. So that was how I started buying books, reading books, and then I started becoming a speaker that people wanted to listen to because I had a lot of references. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so for the person who has a struggle with his father and the traits, I think that's like a usual struggle.
What traits of your dad? Traits of his spot. What trait of his don't take up? Like you don't want that part.
Okay.
You don't want that part.
Okay, so I picked up.
Get I'm a journalist. I didn't look for headline.
I picked up the dominant character from my dad, and that's the tendency to be very bold when you have something to do. So clearly, my dad is very dominant in terms of how he goes about his goals and everything. And when he needs things done, is kind of like that outspoken leader. So I think I'll put it that way. But for me, having with the experience that I have and in most of the settings I grew up in, I was usually the youngest. I had to temper that a bit. I remember when I just graduated from, no, I was doing IT then. And my boss literally told me something to do and I reacted to him. And I told him no, that this was interfering with my plans and everything. So it was kind of like that nature that came out. And instantly I know when I offend people. It's that sensitive nature I have. I know when I offend. So I knew. But fortunately for me, it just took it calm and then I had to explain to him. But it's that kind of nature that is in me that I try to curb. Mostly for the people I deal with. Like at first they might not understand that I'm just trying to set boundaries to what I'm trying to do. It's just how I come off. So yes, that's like one.
Do you like the fact that your daddy knows so many people and his family to almost everybody? Tell me the truth, do you like it?
As I would say, I picked up traits from both parents. My mom is more conservative. My dad is more extroverted. So I had to learn the balance between both because they have advantages and I see the advantages. They come up.
Would you like to enter everywhere and
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Because I could count the advantages, like I said, I could count countless situations where when you wrote and you knew somebody. Countless situations. We could step into somewhere for the first time and they literally call his name randomly. Even when we travel out. So it's something that is good and I would love to pick up to. So to the question, first when I got back from school and we're living in the same environment, we had clashes. And because I'm dominant, so it was back and forth. I've stayed in university for 4 years, this is how I do my things. You can't tell me how to do my things. And so there was that back and forth. And it became a point where I was becoming rebellious. I could sense it, I could see it, which is what will happen to him too, because it's kind of like somebody is trying to trample on your nature and what you're trying to do. But there's this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, and he mentions your circle of influence. I think that was where I pretty much learned how to bend people to my will. I don't care how difficult they call you. I don't care where you come from. I would influence you in a way by which you would do what I want you to do. So it became that kind of trait that I had, and I pretty much practiced, and I've kept on practicing, where you basically have to build a relationship with the person to the point where you can get them to do what you want them to do, you can understand their perspectives, and have the freedom to be yourself. So I pretty much had to learn that. So usually, before I would say, no, this is how I want to do my things. But eventually, I had to start to bring them into my world and explain why certain things are being done this way, and this is who I am. So it's circle of influence. You could go to the books, Stephen Covey, I think it should be the first 3 chapters. You'd see circle of influence. It basically helps you with where you walk and everywhere, because there'll be difficult people regardless of where you are. And you need to be able to build that relationship and walk around them to be able to influence them and bring them into your own world so they could be influenced. So I think that's my best answer for you.
Awesome.
Then for the first question, the first question, which was about strict parents and all, I think looking back now, I don't care if I felt bad. And I think that's what people need to get used to doing. I think I have a lot of things that I was forced to do that didn't feel good, which I'm very proud of. In fact, there was one where my parents literally tell me to read Proverbs every single day. And I know I've read it for the past 11 years. So you could quote the scripture and say Proverbs.
You need to tell them book of Proverbs, the Bible.
Yes, the book of Proverbs. Sorry, the book of Proverbs in the Bible. And I could go anywhere and you say, oh, the book of Proverbs says this, and I'll say it's a lie. It's not there. And I'll be correct. I was that in-depth into Proverbs. And at first it didn't feel good, monitoring me and telling me, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I feel parents need to get to that point. There are points where decisions need to be made for people because they don't understand the repercussions of it and every other thing. As I've matured, I noticed that some people who they rebelled and said they were not going to go to school were actually going to get a lot tougher experiences as they grew up in life. But those things weren't just about their feelings. They just needed to be forced to do it. So there's a stage where you force a child to do all of those things. There's a stage where you give them freedom. And I think eventually a child will be who they want to be. Thank you very much.
Wow, 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 wow. At this point, I'm handing over to the MCs. They need to do a little protocol here for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Olufemi family. I know we have, photograph please. We have an award for the Olufemi family. We've all been impacted one way or the other, and this award confers on the Ebunluwa Olufemi family the prestigious recognition as a character ambassador. Thank you for partnering with RCV to build a greater Nigeria which inspiring family values at the 9th National Character Parenting Summit. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Please, I need an usher. One usher, please. Thank you very much, everyone, for being seated. I see the hall is getting fuller, and I mean, we're getting to the peak of today's event. We'll be going right on to our panel session, and trust me, we've had an electrifying moment with the Ebunluwa Olufemi family, and right now we're having another panel session with 4 beautiful and awesome discussant today. So Mrs. Obasa will be anchoring this session, but Studio will be doing a brief introduction of our guests. So please, just after you hear your introduction, kindly take your seats on our on the stage, and after which we would get started with this session. Thank you. Studio, please.
Mrs. Yomi Adewale is a certified marriage counselor and relationship coach. She is a certified emotional wellness coach and trauma healing expert. Mrs. Yomi Adewale is a vice president of Family Booster Ministries International and the convener of the Terrific Wives Summit and Executive Women Fellowship. She is happily married to BC Adewale, a renowned marriage counselor and family minister. With a resounding round of applause, please make welcome one of our discussants, Mrs. Yomi Adewale, to NCPS 2023.
Mr. David Adegboyega is a sound character coach and nation builder. His passion for sound character has led him to train many in soft skills and attitude, and authored several materials with over 40,000 copies printed and distributed. He drives the sound character movement to foster productive and meaningful lives, an initiative that seeks to empower a critical mass of purposeful future leaders, demonstrating values to contribute positively globally. With a resounding applause, let's welcome Mr. David Adegboyega to NCPS 2023 as a discussant.
Mrs. Onyidamola Adebowale is a certified child and teens counselor with over 10 years in raising, nurturing, and mentoring preteens and teenagers. She founded Future Got Better to provide counseling, mentorship, leadership, and life skills training. She is an Africa for Her ambassador, a member of the International Society of Substance Use Professionals, and a governor of Parents Summit, which equips and empowers parents to effectively raise children. Onyidamola is married with children. With a resounding applause, let's welcome Mrs. Adebowale to NCPS 2023 as a discussant.
We call it the discourse. There's an extension of this session. We have an education intervention desk where I have Ms. Nancy Ekpezu and Mrs. Robson, Gloria Robson. Please, I'd like you to stand for recognition. That's Mrs. Gloria Robson, and here we have Ms. Nancy. They are, yes, you can, we'll have you once you come back. Please sit, ma. So we decided to do this, and now that I have Mrs. Folashade Biwo here, if there's any question that we need to throw to you, we will. Because this matter concerns everybody. Yes. So we have people from school who do consulting for schools, or who have trained in schools as educators, who will help us understand what's happening at the school end of this whole matter. And so we can know that it's supposed to be a 360, parents, educators, and every one of us. So we're going to go right into the discourse, but that will be after each of my discussants have had a 5 minutes power talk. That is, when you first saw this topic, what did it say to you? So you have a 5 minutes power talk. Thereafter will be an avalanche of questions, because it's a panel, because we want people to be able to get what you call free consulting, if you like. Yeah, so they can have their questions answered, have their concerns resolved, and go back from NCPS happier than they came. Mr. David Adeboyega has been on this couch for, this should be like the 4th time or 3rd? 6th time on the couch. Wow, amazing. So he's been here with us over and again. I'm excited to have Mrs. Adewale with me. I first knew the husband from being a journalist. I interviewed him, and later on got to meet her, and she was on one of my radio shows then at Inspiration FM. And I also have Mrs. Onyidamola Adebowale. I'm tempted to say Odebo. I know one Odebowale. Adebowale, who is also a sister, and I had the confidence to bring her on board because I see what she does online. So if you're doing anything online, it looks as if nobody is seeing you. It's a lie. People are seeing you. Yeah, so please don't stop. That's what I tell myself often. And the other part of it is that I got to read a book with my children. We got 3 of our books. My husband got 3 of our books, addressing teenagers and young people. And, okay, she's telling me the list of names. Anyway, so we read 3 of them, and I felt that, oh, this is good. So they are here to answer character parenting questions. We are looking at values basically this year. And so whenever it's the education part, the intervention desk, you please feel free to call my attention. If there's an education aspect, that's why it's called intervention desk, to that particular idea or conversation, so we can have it as robust as it can be. So please, you do have your mics. So let's go the way you came to the couch. We'll have you first, we'll take you next, and then we'll have you. Thank you. Who is keeping time for us?
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say, with all sincerity, I want to appreciate the convener of the program, Mrs. Ulushola Obasa. And I want to thank for those who are working with her as a team. Please, can we give them a round of applause? You can imagine if we can have this kind of program at all levels, where we have more people, and I'm very sure very soon the world will be a better place to live in. How many of us do I have witnesses? I pray God will strengthen you more and more. And I also appreciate the Olufemi's family. The session was profound and very interactive, educative, and I'm proud to also be one of the parents that sent their children to Covenant University. One of my sons graduated yesterday, and thank you. Thank you. You know, one thing about the school, I'm not advertising for them. You give them a boy, they give you a man. They are producing, they are doing excellently well. And I want to encourage her. She has a daughter also. I still have another son there, and my daughter is also entering. So they are doing well. I pray God will continue to strengthen them. And I want to encourage all the educationists here, please, let's stand by our values. And because those are the lens through which the society will look at our products. So I want to start from this angle. I know generally when they ask someone what are values, you just say, oh, they are beliefs and principles that guide the way we live. Right, you are correct. But do you know that they are deeper than that? Values are things you actually value. There are things that are so important to you that you won't sacrifice for anything. You won't compromise, you won't sacrifice, no matter the pressure. Even if it means you are the only one standing for that particular thing, you are proud of yourself, and you are proud of the fact that you are making a point for others to learn from. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. So you need to check yourself. What are the values guiding your life? And as a marriage counselor, family minister, I want to say to all parents that we have a lot of work to do. As I sat down there that we had the chat with the Olufemis, I said, I want to encourage, I share with her, I said, I will encourage parents that are seated here or those who are watching online, please do not feel as if you have failed. Do not feel as if you have done nothing. I believe strongly that parenting is a continuous work. And yes, thank you, ma. It's a continuous work, and it's a work of faith. You are planting the seed. One day, the seed will germinate. That experience you had a few minutes ago, it wasn't just that few moments. A lot of years of investments. So keep planting. Parents, teachers, keep planting. One day you will see the fruits from those seeds by the grace of God. So I say again that values are situation-independent decision helpers. They help you take decisions at critical moments of your life, because they are principles that are guiding the way you do things, what you are pursuing, what you are doing, what you stand for. They shape your character, they shape your way of life. Those are values. I remember a situation where there was a missing item in a school, and the teacher just wanted to, like, put fear in the children. If you do not confess, I'll beat everyone. One of the children started crying. I can never pick it, because in my house we don't steal. In my house we don't tell lies. You can see those values reflecting, even as young as the girl was. So instilling values in our children, we have to start early, so that those things can grow with them to any length in life. We'll teach it. What we do not want to permit, we'll make them to know that we can't permit this. I love the statement that young man made. He said, there are times in the life of a child you will help them make certain decisions, because they are not empowered at that moment to do such for themselves. And I want to encourage parents, don't be popular parents, that the children will always want to eat you like ice cream, that everything goes with you. Don't be. Just stand by those values, because later on, they will still come back to thank you. And same applies to teachers. Stand by those things. Here, you dress properly. Yes, dress properly. But today, I just want to be free. No. Because of those values, let's be consistent with our values. Am I making some points? Thank you. I want us to also know that values are things that we bring into our life that help us live intentionally. You are not living casually. You are very intentional about your dressing, about your comportment, about your actions, about your reactions, about what you do, even when no one is looking. Even when no one is looking. So you do it, it's a way of life. It's everything about you, and it will help you if you begin to reflect them now, because that will also help you to make your marital decision. There are some people you can't just go together because the values are different. This person is going this way. Some people don't cherish integrity, truthfulness, read and pass. They are after just pass anyhow. And the parent can do anything to ensure that those children pass anyhow. And meanwhile, you have values, you have honor for process. You follow that. Somebody has to, it's one of my family core values. We have an acronym, SPARKLITS. One of our values, core values, is there's excellence, there's labor. There's labor. I won't digress again. I
was coming to that question.
I'll come. Let me leave it. There's excellence. There's labor with your brain, your hand, and your mind. Such that you are not just, we are in a society where we celebrate the bottom line. The results, yes, and we do not regard the process. When somebody is staying awake at night reading, and couldn't make first class, does not define the person. Because we have some people, they only have IQ, they don't have QQ. So those ones are very deep that we all need to celebrate. And for us as a society, values should stand as social glue that holds the society quotient IQ, intellectual quotients. Then QQ is you are smarter than book level. No, it's not. Anybody can make first class when you read very well. But QQ people are deeper. They are people that are creative. They are critical in thinking. They are very, they are not book people like that. But they can get book people to work for them. Wow. Thank you. Okay, let me just say the final words on my introduction stage. We are producing a society where our national values, we know them and we honor them. Our society values, we know them, we honor them. Family values and personal values, we know them and we honor them. We want to get to a state where we can integrate. We want to integrate our words, our deeds, and our actions as one. My dad will say, your time will pass, my time will pass, but the records of our deeds will never pass. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much for that. So welcome to National Character Parenting Summit 2023. And we're going back to the basics, having value conversations. Now, I would like to look at the background to values. And two key things. Number one, the belief and the convictions. These two things form value. I mean, like we've heard, values are those principles that you hold on to, come rain, come shine. But before you can form these values, they come from convictions. And these convictions come from the belief system. Now, so the starting point is the belief system. the environment, because the environment forms your belief. Now, so you can come and say, this is black. But in the environment where this child grew up, black is white. So the child wakes up every day and he sees them telling him that black, this thing, is white. I mean, I'm just using that, figuratively, so that there's no stereotyping here. Now, so that child wakes up every day, he sees black, he sees white, but the environment calls it black. And that's his worldview. And then he meets you, and you are saying, oh boy, this is white now. Is it white? This is not white. Why? Because his belief system, his environment, his conditioning has called this black. Now, so your belief forms the convictions, and then, of course, the values are formed. Now, imagine a home where parents go to look for what we call special centers in Nigeria. And let me explain. I mean, sadly, special centers are those educational centers where parents take their children to, and they help them to pass examinations. To cheat, yes. So you find the teacher, the invigilator, the principal of the school, they've conspired. Now, so such a child, what is that child value for study, for hard work? Because the parents are involved. Now, so this today, please relax, both online and on-site, as we dig down to the discussions on values. So what I've tried to do in introducing the speech is to say the belief, the environment where the child grows up. And that's why I appreciated the Olufemis. They were able to create that environment. And you can hear the son, Isaac, speaking and saying that sometimes, those decisions that you didn't like, now is happy and grateful for those decisions. Why? Because those decisions form his convictions. And today, he has those values. So I want to, on this basis, warm us up to our conversation. Please, you're going to enjoy it. There'll be no dull moment here. And we count on you to take this further, even beyond here. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to say a big thank you. Thank you for having me on this beautiful couch. I love this. So a lot has been said so far. And I want to say that, yes, for everyone seated here, even if you've never heard the word values before, from what has been said so far, you can actually define. And I want you to go beyond just defining it for the notes, like I have my notes all written out. No. I'm just going to say that we are going to answer a lot of questions. So I'm just going to say that what we are trying to say with values is you need to stand for something. Everybody must stand for something. Now, I know this is a mixed audience. We have parents, we have educators, we have teenagers. Now, I'm talking to everybody, both as parents, as students, teachers. We need to stand for something. So I'm going to ask you this question, which I don't want you to give me the response now, but I want you to ponder on it. What are you standing for? Because you can't be indifferent. You can't be neither here or there. You can't have a dual life. You can't be somebody else at home, somebody else at school. You can't be someone else at work, someone else at home. So you have to stand for something. And I always say this to young ones when I relate with them. I say, you are responsible for the outcome of your life, whether it turns out good or bad. I am responsible for this life that I have now. Yes, I can say, maybe my parents taught me some things, maybe I should have had a better life, maybe it should be this and this. It still boils down to the choices I made, my decisions, my actions. And that's bringing us back to the values, because your values will actually guide your decisions. It will guide your actions, your choices, and your beliefs also. So what am I saying? You are responsible for the outcome of your life, whatever way it turns out, whether it's good or bad. So I want you to just look beyond just listening and taking the note. See that, how am I going to apply this to my life? So the question I'm going to leave you to keep pondering on is, what am I standing for? Whether as a parent, whether as a young person, what am I standing for? So I think you can get back home and answer that question. You can write it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for that was their moment of the power talk, giving us from their hearts the way it actually feels or the way they relate with the topic of today. Questions. I will begin with pilot questions from here, but please, you would have seen the link, the Slido link, where you're supposed to input your questions. You also have the QR codes on the other side of the pillars close to you, and right now you have it on the screen. Just snap and then you'll be able to ask us questions. In the event that you want to ask a question and you do not have a device to do that, or you do not want to use a device, then feel free to beckon on any of the ushers. I can't see any of them right now, but I hope they will relocate to their positions. Sorry. So that you can get a tear out sheet where you can please write legibly your questions, because we're here because we're interested in being part of your life. I have a few ground rules for the discourse to help us run smoothly. The first one is that the first few minutes of the discourse will be devoted to answering questions from the pilots list here. The next is that thereafter we would have questions from the audience, so we can start investing them now. That's what I'm saying. So we're waiting for your question while I'm asking these ones. Then each discussant will have a response period of 2 minutes per question. 2 minutes per question, and this also includes the education intervention desk. 2 minutes per question to respond. Please note that a timekeeper will help the discussant keep the couch in check. I know with the passion of wanting to be sure that we get everything clearly, I can be like that too. We could do a little above the time, but just so we can get a lot from this. However, an extra 1 minute intervention may be allowed from the discussants on the other side on any of the issues. So we need a mic on their table to enable that run smoothly. All questions from the audience will be sent in all of those ways, and they'll be scrutinized by the people working with the anchor, just so that we don't have repeated questions or things that we've already addressed. And I guess that's all in terms of ground rules. I'll go ahead now to ask the first question, and I should just go back to, I've been calling you Mrs. Adewale. Let me call you Pastor. Pastor, Mrs. Let me behave like Jeff, the MC. Yes. So, Ma, I would want to take you back now to your core values. One of the main things I could pick, and I've always known, that, and I could also pick from the Olufemis, is that you have to be intentional. You cannot assume your core values. If I call your child and you are not there, your child should be able to tell me, these are our family core. I use the word core because there will be several. But you must be able to tie your ingredients for grooming them down to a few rememberable values. That breeds consistency, and that makes it easier for them. They should be able to say, these are our family values. So the word core there is saying that the most important, not relegating all others. Okay, so they will share with us if it's been articulated. If not, they will tell us what models they have been using to instill values. Our emphasis today is on values. So I'll just go back to you, Ma. You were going to tell us, you said the acronym and I couldn't catch up with it.
Sparklet.
Okay, from Spark and Lit.
Let me just spell it.
Yes,
Sparklet.
please.
S-P-H-A-R-T-L-E-E-T.
Yes.
Sparklet.
That's intentionality. Please celebrate. Do you know what it takes to come out in this acronym? I do this for companies about their core values, so I know what it is to try to make it a word. It's creative work. I get paid for doing this for companies. Nobody has paid me in my house for doing that one that I did. God is paying me. Amen. Okay, so yes, I have it. Sparklet. So what does it mean, Ma?
Okay, like you said, you usually have many values.
Yes.
But just to make it, easy for them to remember, and also to bring into their memory when they are acting.
Yes.
So S stand for spirituality.
Okay.
The P stand for prayer and praise lifestyle.
Okay.
H, there's H after P.
Yes, please.
It stands for healthy living.
Okay.
We don't do some things, we don't eat some things. There are some food that don't get to our house.
Wow.
We don't eat them.
Wow.
H stands for availability. You are available for God and you are available for humanity. R stands for respect and responsibility. K stands for kingdom service.
Wow.
L stands for labor. You labor with your mind, your hand, and your brain. E stands for entrepreneurship focus. The other E stands for excellence. There must be a touch of excellence. Whatever you are doing, do it well. Not
Yes.
that you carry food to come and give me. Mommy say no. There's a way you come back,
Yes.
get a tray, put it in
Yes.
the. So then T stands for total commitment to family life. Because we are family ministers,
Yes.
so we pay attention to family life.
Amazing. Amazing. Please, I thought you would celebrate at that point. Okay. Awesome. That's a handful. And it's just the core. It means that all through life, yes, there will be several. There will be several. Thank you so much, Ma, for this. I'm running the question through everybody. So let's have you, sir.
Wow, this is, I mean, you know, in parenting, you're free to dub. All right. So, okay. Now, for my family, I mean, we have not articulated in terms of core values, right? But of course, and I'm taking that away from here, I mean, as a challenge. And I think why that is because right from when our children were young, you know, I had the privilege to, I mean, out of passion, put together a book on character development. So every morning, after our morning devotion, we read a page, right, every day. And of course, we discuss about 5 minutes, always ensuring that, I mean, these things, they understand it. Now, they are teenagers, they're in boarding school, and I mean, it was clear to me that part of our end of year for this would be to sit down, because now they understand the drill. We've had our, I mean, heated discussions and arguments, right? So now they can understand when we say, okay, this and this and this are the core values. So I think that's a takeaway for me here, to say, okay, now it's time to put pen to paper, you know, and then of course it's collaborative at that. Yeah.
So what are the key ingredients for a child raised in your home?
Okay, now, so coming to the core values like you have explained, the first one is honesty. Okay? And even when you have done something wrong and you are going to be punished for it, still say the truth. I mean, I tell them, see, sometimes, you know, when we talk character, it doesn't mean you will always be right. No.
Yes.
I don't expect my child to always do the right things, but I expect him to tell me what he has done. I mean, if I can achieve that, I've succeeded. But to think that he will always do the right thing, because see, you know, they know what we want to hear as parents. Yeah. So they will always tell you the right things, but they do the things they want to do when you are not there. So that for me is key. I mean, every other thing rests on that, really. Honesty. To say, this is, Daddy, I did this. This is why. And then we can have conversations. So the idea is, before they misbehave, let's have discussions on character issues. Many a time is when children misbehave that parents get to have conversations on character. But saying, no, let's have the discussion ahead of time, so that when they're in that valley of decision, they will know that, okay, oh, I really should not do this, but man, it's what I want to do. And then, because it will always come in the open. So guys, listen, whatever you do will always what? Come in the open. So the question is, if this gets into the open am I ready to own up to it? If you are not, then don't do it. Now, so the values that will ensure that happens, is what we're talking about. So for me, from NCPS 9.0, this is my takeout. It's time now to be intentional and write it down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So your core values, ma'am.
Okay, so let me say this to help some parents. I have an 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So I designed those values based on their age bracket so they can easily understand and comprehend it. And I remember that I didn't just tell them, I wrote it down. In fact, it's on a board on the wall in their room so that they go back. So when you do something, I'm pointing you back to those values. So our family value spells POSE, so which P is for purity. I believe in not just keeping yourself sexually, but total purity. Not just keeping yourself, keeping your virginity as it is, but complete purity. Then H for honesty, always speak the truth. O for obedience to instruction. So when somebody does something, I'm pointing you back. What you have just done is against our family values. Then I said pose, right? O, then I'm on L. L is for love. So we work together as love. So there's nothing like older sibling trying to fight the younger sibling. You are not working in love. I'm drawing you back to that board in your room that is pointing out our values. Then E also for excellence. And the last is S. There is service to God and humanity. And that's the part of me teaching spirituality to my children, and also the part of service to humanity. So I put this in my children that aside from what we do as business and all that, we believe that whatever we have is not just for ourselves alone, but we also help humanity. So I put that mindset in them as a young age. They already understand that we have to pack things for welfare, we have to pack things to help people. So they are not living for themselves alone, but they are living to help humanity. And let me also say that I know a lot of people take this home and you want to design yours. Try to make sure that it's simplified in a way that they can understand it. Don't use a big grammar for a 5-year-old. They won't get it. And the whole idea is you want them to pick those words and run with it. And then it can be reviewed. So as they get older, you begin to review and add to it and change some things to be able to suit your own family.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted them to do that just so if you're in the hall and you've not intentionally done this, the time is now. So you must have a meeting when you get back home. Or give yourself some time after which you want to be sure what these things are. No product is produced with recipe going anyhow. You don't do that to your factory products, do you? So you can't be raising destinies and they are not specific recipes. Minimum standard. It's so important that they'll say, oh, there's this drink, they have a secret recipe. I don't want to do adverts. Okay, well, they said this drink has a secret recipe. So that what makes that drink is the recipe. Not having specified, articulated, cut out family values is raising your children without. There's no framework. It's very, very important. So I pray that we all are able to. And I'm so happy for those who are not yet married and are young in-house. You can also have this conversation with your parents if they are the kind of people that will listen to you. And everything can get better from here. I'm going into some of the concerns that I have, then I'll ask questions. I've noticed a few issues that are fading. A few values seem to be fading. As I mentioned them, many of us might be able to reckon. Number one, the value of balance. These days, people want to do things one-sided and expect everything to go well. The value of balance seems to be fading. The value of contentment seems to be fast fading. The value of process and patience together seems to be fast fading. The value of knowledge and excellence or competence, that thing that says I must earn it, seems to be fading. The value of respect and courtesy seem to be fading really fast. The value of integrity and trustworthiness seems to be fading really, really fast. What about hard work, commitment, and diligence? I'm calling them in groups. Then we have decency and morality fading really fast. Today, nudity is okay for most people. Then honor. Then sacrifice. And people seem to have good reasons for saying that it's a no-no to those values. What about humaneness and love? That humanity thing in you that makes you know that you can't sell a human being for 100 naira or 100,000 naira. What about empathy and care? Look around the society today. This is a diagnosis of values deficit that has created the society that we have right now. If we get back and fix this, many of the issues you are seeing will go. Yahoo will go. Because all of a sudden somebody is content and they don't want to jump ahead of their time. Haphazard delivery of jobs will go because somebody understands process. If one is sacrificial, they will know that it takes time. So all of this, we doze on our minds. We see current trends. So I'm also going to see some current trends. One, obscenity and nudity. When we were younger, there were things that they will not show on TV at certain times. It's no longer so. You can be driving to church on Sunday, and if you are not careful, you can tune to a radio, and you commit sin as you are driving from your house before you get to church. Because even the decency that the media used to have to know that Sunday morning you should appeal to Sunday church. People go to church even if they are just church goers. The next one is there's a get rich quick, and it's at a pro level now. Get rich quick is another concern. So these are negative values that took over those ones. Then there is inhumanity. The cost of the soul is now very cheap. People do a lot of things to just take other people's life today, and they don't bat any eyelid. There's greed and covetousness that has given right to Yahoo, giving right to kidnapping and all those vices. And there is bandwagon effect and unhealthy competition. Everybody wants to be like somebody, even if they are the wrong people to be like. Then there is shallowness. When you are shallow and proud of it. I notice a lot of people these days are not deep. Yes, they are very proud about being shallow. You see it all around you. Okay? That means they don't settle down, not stay in power. You can't settle down to go deep into anything. You just pick it and you run off. Everybody today is online doing influencer. And you're wondering what are they influencing. Okay, the next one is violence and horror. Helped by a lot of media things that people watch. There's a lot of violence out there now. At the shortest trigger, everything gets to go. There's also a carefree mindset. You see it in workplaces too. You're wondering, how do they raise these people? So, that carefree mindset, like anything must kill a man, or all those kind of phrases, and then they have taglines that help them perpetuate it. Then there is creative deception, the one they call calling black white. Someone mentioned it earlier on. Then there is untaught freedom, that is freedom without boundaries. That too has creeped in, and overt exposure. Children see what they shouldn't see at the ages they shouldn't see them, or things they shouldn't see at all. These are our issues in the world that we are faced with today. This is the world in which you and I are raising parents. This is the world in which young people are growing, and are raising children. And this is the world in which those who are yet to marry will still raise their children. How can values bail us out? So, how does values help us take decisions? Look at the active agents in values. I'll put that to Mrs. Adewale, and then I'll ask each one different questions so we can cover them. I'm yet to be told that we have questions from the audience. So we're still waiting. So do values help us take decisions? How do they bail us out? When the options look like juicy, it look like this confusing, and uncertain. Maybe someone says to me that it's not anything, it won't hurt you. It's just using what it's as easy as that God gave it to you.
It's as easy as that God gave it to you. So you got it flaunted, and they do all those things and tell you how that.
Because like Mr. Olufemi said, even the most righteous child hears those things. How do they take decisions?
How do they take decisions?
Does it help?
Values will help to support us when we are in doubt, when we are overwhelmed, when we are under pressure, and when it looks as if you are the only one standing. Anytime you are making a decision, anytime you are making a decision, anytime you are making a decision, don't just look at the consequence now. Look at what happens afterwards. Have future in view. You have the right to make a choice, but you cannot determine the consequences that will follow the choice. But that's why you can control that choice. Those values that you have imbibed, that you are honoring, and that you are living with. You know yourself that as a person, I stand for, let's say, integrity. When you are in school, for instance, and you are faced with a challenge of trying to buy your way for marks and all of that, you look at what happens later to me if I buy my way, everything, to make certain decisions, and those values are required to make those decisions. It means I'm having recruitment error. So we don't want to have that. I want to encourage everybody from now, just sit down. What do I stand for? We are all talking to the politicians. We are all talking to our leaders. But if you continue like this, only talk will not produce what we want. Let's start the cleansing from you. From you, you are seated here. As you are going out, we want to go out. Why are we pushing? Why are you not orderly? It starts from there. They are passing.
Why are you outside of the hall
when you are supposed to be inside? So all of these things, they look small, but they accumulate to what we're actually looking for. They look little, but they accumulate to what we are actually looking for eventually. It will help the school, it will help the society, and it will help everybody. And I put something that I said, these values we are discussing is a collective responsibility. Absolutely. Everybody, old and young, the Lord will help us.
Amen.
I'm talking church.
It's fine. Yes, it's fine. And on that note, I'm going to ask something that how does religious values, national values, social values, okay, let me ask it this way. I'll give a line of values and I'll ask you which one should come first. That's your question, sir. So I have social values or societal values, national values, religious values, cultural values, and family values and corporate values. Which one comes first in the life and the raising of a human being?
Okay, so the family values.
Why, sir?
Okay. Now, because the family is the basic unit. So we have family, we have religious values. Now, ideally, whatever religious values should start from the home. You understand? When I spoke earlier...
So what is the job of the pastor, sir?
Thank you, ma. Now, sincerely speaking, pastors shouldn't have any work if fathers and mothers have done their work very well. Sincerely. See, it's because the family system is failing. That's why, it appears like pastor has a lot of work. So the father and the mother, see, that family is everything. Because if you get it right from the home, and I love to say this. A lot of us, look at the economic value, the financial status of, homes. But I love to look at what's the character status. What's your value status? Many times, see, we focus a lot on, money. But, when we're getting back to basics, please keep that in view. We're getting back, what makes a home? What makes a man? What makes a woman? I mean, Ma, you were saying they've not paid you for your family values. But what tyranny and what they did here, I mean, what value can you put on that? Now, so the truth of the matter is, the family is first. Because the doctor, the governor, the president, the Yahoo boy came from a family. So I think, so once we deal with family, every other things, follows like that. Even the CEO is from a family.
True, sir.
Yeah, so the home, and I believe we're going back to basics, and that's why, everybody please come here and pick your own. I have my book here. I'm writing points as I'm learning it. Because it's parenting, ING, continuous tense. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So now to the intervention desk, education intervention desk. I'm curious, why should I bother when I've paid huge sum of money to a school? What are they doing? At the principal, all of them, what are they doing, Papo? I paid millions to them to raise my child. So why do they expect me to be the one doing the work? After paying so much. Do you have a mic now? Please, I need a mic on their desk, please. You get one now. So, that's the question. Because I'm sure that many of us here can relate with this question. People believe that the amount I'm paying is enough for the school. Or maybe let me take a quote. You give them a boy. They give you a man. So you are waiting, not knowing that she already did her own job on the boy before he went. She let it go. You find parents believing that the school should do everything. Character parents them, teach them everything they need to know, including maths and English. How would that work? And what has been your experience on this, working with schools?
At schools and think that they should do the grooming. If we've learned anything today, please, it all starts from the home. And it is a product you give to us in schools that we work with. By the time a child is 6, so much has already happened in the life of that child.
That's true.
And teachers are not magicians. Yeah. We are teachers, we are administrators, but the word magic is not actually in the profession. And we can't do any magic with a child who's already damaged.
Can we have a mic better? Yes, because I think it's faint. Can we all hear her?
Can you hear me now?
She's a soft-spoken lady. Please give her a mic that can amplify her voice. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Now it's humming.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Hello. Hello. Is it better now? Okay, so like I was saying, some parents actually dump. I want to use the word dump deliberately because that's what it is. Dump their children in the schools, hoping that the schools will do magic. Please, teachers undergo training to become teachers, not to be parents. If there's anything we're going to do, it is going to be a secondary responsibility and ever takes the place of parenting in the home. You'll be shocked to know that there are parents who do not even know the class their children are in. I've had parents come in, how much are the fees? Hey, doctor, what did you say your class is again? Talk, Jared, talk. And everybody's, the teacher, you need to, sometimes I have goose pimples as a school administrator because I've had to even parent parents. It is that bad. From parents who will lie to their children about fees, the ones who want to even forge fake fees, fake receipts. So what are we talking about? The school cannot do magic with your children. It is a product. Your child is already a product as they're coming to school. What we do is to polish up the product that you give to us.
What if they come very early, like 2 years old?
Even at that age, you've already started parenting. And the kids are already learning. The truth is, there are parents you invite, their kids even do wrong in school. You invite them to a meeting, they won't show up. And we've also seen the school-home partnership work so well for some kids. I remember a child, we were talking about family values here. There was a child who joined a wrong group in school. Like he said, your child would not always get it right. There are times they want to be kids. And kids are adventurous. Kids want to try. Amongst us administrators and teachers, we can tell what home every child comes from because they actually represent you. And so it doesn't take long to know, well, this boy is not behaving himself. There must be something wrong. I've invited the parents. You know, that singular meeting with the parents, and the child never got into any trouble in school till he graduated. Because you could see that this is a child who came from a home where values were already inculcated in him. He only went astray briefly. But you see, that's very different from a child who comes from a home where the parents are teaching him how to lie and to cheat. All those exam centers that he talked about would not exist if parents were not in support.
That's true. That's true.
In any school I heard, if you come to me with any silly ideas about how exams are gone, that is the day you see the gate. As a teacher, I don't care how much they pay you. I don't give a hoot. But you know, just to know that you're even suggesting it, that is even crossing your mind to say, there's a way schools are doing it. I'll tell you, please go and join those schools. You see the kids under my care, I am accountable to all these kids. And no cheating will occur in any school that I work in. I've actually resigned from a job as a teacher because they were cheating.
Wow. Wow, put your hands together for her, please. Thank you. Wow, 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 wow. Okay,
so please, it starts from home.
Yes.
Everything that we are, and to the schools too, just in case the administrators here or teachers. You see, if the parents do not get it right at home, and then you two are coming with poor skills to teach the children and poor character, then there's a problem.
Yes.
Because if the home fails, then we are the ones that they're going to depend on to do the messy job. And I must say that recently, teachers have become parents by default.
True.
Which wasn't originally the plan. And you see people leaving the education, this rate of people running away from the education space now, you don't want to know what we go through. I'm a consultant now because I've left working full-time in schools. Recruiting teachers now is such an arduous task. Because when someone signs to teach, they are no longer teachers, they are parenting to the job, which is so burdensome that, you know, and they're not heavily rewarded for it. I mean, you want to have a life. But you see, the average Nigerian teacher now does not have a life. I'm just telling you. Because they teach, and teaching 21st century skills is demanding enough. But to add parenting to it, that is a different ball game altogether.
Wow.
So right now,
Awesome.
teachers have
Thank
become
you.
parents by default. All because the home is failing in inculcating values.
Okay, so are we getting value from this? Are we getting value? Okay, just that you are not asking us questions. That means we are asking the questions on your mind, right? Okay, so I will come again to the intervention desk after I have, so I'm at your doorstep now, Ma. And what's the best way? And you're free to share from your own example. What's the best way to teach values to young people in these times? Because if you want to be a teacher, like you want to do lecturer kind of teaching, they will soon take you for somebody that to fair lecturer. Yeah, even for me, I know that there are moments when young people just like, oh. So they just give you that. Yes. And so what would you recommend personally?
Best ways to teach values now. First, we need to live what we teach.
Basic.
We have made an emphasis now that we all have a role to play. So as a parent, church leaders, teachers, school, we all have a role to play. Now, how do we live what we teach? Now, if I'm going to pass down values, all those values I said I wrote down for my children, I have to live it. You see, the children we are raising these days, you tell them go and read, they see you on the phone, they say, but mommy, you're on your phone.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them to read. So I have to consciously say, I'm not going to touch my phone. Even if I know I've done so much in the day, I just want to relax with my phone. I have to consciously put that phone away and just say that I'm doing something just so that they can see that I'm actually doing it. Not, It's not like I don't live that life. But there are times maybe you just want to like, I think I just want to watch TV. And I know that these children, they would see you do that, and they wouldn't know all the work you've done in the morning till evening before you got home. You are now trying to say, no, I need to portray this to them. Because if they don't see you doing it, it will be difficult for them to just follow what you say. Children will most likely, in fact, 99% do what they see you do than what you say that you do. In fact, maybe our own days, our parents will not do those things and they can teach us to do it and we'll do it. You see, this generation, I mean, these children, that they can question anything, question even the teacher, and say, why? And then even to the school. So I know that all schools have, they call it motto. Like when you put it under that, your name, integrity and love. You know, we don't just put those things there because we have to just put. We must be living it in the school. So what we are doing in this school, is it aligned with those things we have written there, or we are just putting it there? And even the teachers too, what are we doing? We are all role models to these children. See, children will pick. What we've said here today is influence. There are so many young children here. They've picked some things that they didn't even know they've picked it until they start doing it. So they are picking. They will pick from you, the class teacher. They will pick from you, the school administrator. They are picking. So if we want to pass this thing, we must be ready to live it. And we won't leave the responsibility to, you know, I always say this when I go to schools to speak, I say that whatever happens, they are your children. In the long run, whether the school has failed, the society has failed us, the government has done this, this country is this, they are still your children. You are the one that will carry the cross, carry the burden, carry the consequences. So the earlier we stand up as parents to go back to the basics, go back home, and then start bringing out those values. And you know that there's something we like to say also. You know, when we look at the way we were raised, we always say that in our days, I remember in my days, I couldn't say this to my father. In my days, I couldn't react like this. It's not just for us to mention what happened nowadays to our children. It's also to teach them some of those values. Yes, some we can say, maybe some things have gone, we can't even say into extinction because nothing goes into extinction. But I think maybe it has been modified. Maybe there are better ways to present those things, better methods to present it to them. But we will not just tell our children what it was like in our days. We will teach them how we lived in our days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. I want to add that we should instill values in our children creatively. There are other creative ways we can add to this, living by example, teaching them, engaging them, sharing stories. You just now say, let's draw moral lessons from this story so that they don't see you as a preacher. You have to be very creative such that you are passing the message at the same time you are also correcting so many things. You are still having fun. You can do it creatively. And we can also do it through relationship. It goes a long way in doing such. You build so much relationship that with your children, such that there's nothing they are going through, their personal struggles, peer pressure, anything that they can't share with you.
Thank you very much, Ma. There are a few other ways. Thank you for the intervention. When current affairs are other ways, when anything happens, so I don't know why it's saying thank you. When anything happens in the society, our Saturdays in my house are days where we have extensive talk. Like we talk about things. So once it happens, it's either myself brings it up or someone comes and says, did you hear about this? And then we'll sit down around it. I remember when Mesoma's issue happened, the JAMB issue. And yes, and we had a talk around it. And somebody in my house was saying, blame this person. Then was saying, blame that person. Someone said, there must be somebody behind the scene. Where are all the adults involved? You know, it was very hot conversation inside the house. At the end of the day, we were able to draw the lessons for our own selves on why, and I helped them see that Mesoma will not be over with this issue by now. Even though many of us have treated it as news story and we've moved on, she will still face it years after. She will step into somewhere,
Mesoma, blah, blah, blah. Is it the same Mesoma? And don't forget, these days, people audit you online. So, it has, for us, it seems like it's a story that has passed. It just only began in her life. She has a long journey to go with the mercy of God. Because we have now come into a world where it's a global village. So what you do here, it's everywhere. Same thing when Mohbad issue happened, we've had to talk about it too. So current affairs are another way we teach values in my family. We don't teach it, we use it to reinforce, to say, so it's like deterrence, something you don't want. Oh, you don't want this to happen to you, see what happened. But I usually will not be the cheerleader. I just throw it open, and then when everyone is done talking about their views, you draw the lessons and say, okay, so these are the things we should look out for. Proverbs are another way. Proverbs are another way. And I'm not talking about the book of Proverbs. I'm talking about Proverbs in your... I don't speak my dialect very well, but I know most Proverbs in Yoruba from growing with my mom. I'm an Okun woman. I don't speak it fluently, so I might not be able to give them Proverbs in my dialect, but I know to do it in Yoruba. So I look for moments when it fits it. When she said creatively, that's the truth. You look for the right moments. You don't make it boring. It has to be exciting. There are several other ways. On the spot, you are watching a movie together, and there's a scene in the movie that is teaching something away from what you believe. That's the moment. I don't wait till the movie is over, and I don't say, off the TV, off the TV. I don't do that. I explain as that is going on. That, oh, that particular one, I hope you know, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, yes, yes, this is this. And then we move on. So, just be in their space. Just be in their space and come to their level. But behind you, be intentional. Know what you are trying to achieve. And with God, like you said, it's a faith walk. It will work well. Okay, so I have a question for... okay, let me come here first, then I'll come to that desk. What is the role? I know, sir, that you are a pastor. If a child misses it at home and does not have the right, is not fortunate to have the right set of educators, so they have missed two opportunities to grow well and be responsible adults. What role can churches play?
All right.
How much of, I think the issue with the one in church is that we teach it like general sermon. We don't, I don't know, most churches I'm saying now. So what's the role of a church? Should the church take up that responsibility? And you know that most values that I teach my children, they are Christian values. They were picked from the Bible.
Right.
So the Bible is a book of values. Because another topic is what are those places you can draw values from? One is from whatever religion you play, and the book that guides that religion. In our own case, the Bible. So, but what's the role of the church?
Thank you for that question. Now, I love to say this very clearly, that the institution that will outlast all other institutions is the church. And the pastors, the role of the pastor now becomes very critical. Why? Because everybody looks up to you. And of course, you don't stand for yourself. So, it's our prayer that God has helped the pastor to put his own house in order. Okay? So, granted that has happened, then he has the enabling environment to help others. Now, just like you have said, the work of the pastor is an all-rounder work. And, it also requires training. Why? Because what we call pastoral care is not just counseling people. It is, you assume the role of the father, you assume the role of the mother, you assume the role of the sister, and you are able to, go down. All we're saying, going back to basics, we're talking about homes. But I was waiting for a question that would say, but sir, ma, where are the homes? We are sitting here talking theory. But the question is, someone will say, where are the homes? Which home are you talking of? Now, interestingly for me, I pastor in an area where, it requires the grace of God because of the settings. And I'm asking myself, what are we going to do about homes here? Because, you have parents that brought you up well, everything goes well, and then you're passing the same on. But it's not the same everywhere. So as a pastor, you must know that, first of all, I have responsibility to take up the missing links in the lives of these people. But of course, you can't do that without having your wife, by your side. So the pastor's home, in that case, becomes like, a test tube to ensure that, what we've been able to create here, we represent it. So you don't only focus on yourself. You take the pains to be in the shoes of the others. And then, of course, when you have the opportunity every week to give a message, you are intentional. Because every week, you're adding value to the life. So when you're preparing your messages and all that you do, you are conscious. These are the values I want to instill. And just to close, values is like reinforcement in a column. So you see a small beam, you hear 16 iron rod. But you see another one, you see 100 50 so it depends on the weight you want to carry. And that's why it's important. So the church is a place where we must not run away. We must just brace the hearts, and by the help of God. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So I have a question from Mrs. Robson. And should I take it now? Yes, so you can just do the two together. The question is about curriculum. Schools. I'm aware that there is a subject called national values. I'm aware that there's a subject called civic education. And I've gone through those texts over and again. My fear is that even though these are, because, and at a point I was at a forum organized by, it's a TOSE forum, where they had the former commissioner and our team on seats, and we were asked to send questions. And I sent the question about character development as a subject. And when she was responding, she said, we already have, that there'll be multiplicity of subjects. We already have subjects that should take care of that. But I've gone through the text. And I know that except you have teachers who have a thing inside them for character and values, it will end up as one of those subjects to read and pass, not to groom you for life. Meanwhile, being my own area, I'm looking at a pattern that can groom them to become, not to pass. So, as a consultant in that area, I would say, for instance, that I would never encourage a school to make character development a subject that you have to write exam.
It has to be practical.
Teach it as a life skill. Yeah. Make it creative. And we have several ideas. So if you have a school and you want us to help you with that, let me quickly do small marketing. Okay, but back to my question. There are ways to, so the national value text, you do the exam or the test. The civic education, even social studies, and religious, Christian religion, all of them are taught as things they read and pass. They do not imbibe or internalize. So, I didn't have the opportunity to reiterate that part of the question because we submitted the question and the Honorable Commissioner responded, and then that was it. But I knew that I needed another forum. What do you think schools can do in helping character development to be intrinsic, beginning with the teacher who comes before you? My children have come to school come to the house sometimes feeling sad and saying that a teacher called them a particular name. Yes. I mean, it has happened across different stages of their education. Or that a teacher acted in a way they should not. Or like that. So how, because if you bring it in, it means that even the teachers themselves must role model, like she was saying, and they must be it. What would be your advice as one who has, you once told me you had to leave a system because they were not willing to follow certain things you thought should be done well.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you everyone that has been speaking. Okay, just to start with, I will ask a question. Question for question. How can someone who doesn't have something give what he or she doesn't have? You don't have it. You want to give it. Is it possible? So coming back to that question that you asked me, I think you've even answered most of the things, because if I have to start citing examples of so many schools that I've been to, with curriculum that I've drafted, I've looked at the whole thing and I said, this is missing. I've been in the educational sector for over very close to 20 years. Starting from the grassroots, the classroom, teaching, and from there, I moved even to SS3, and then I said, okay, it's enough. I want to manage schools. I started managing schools as the head of school over about 3 schools in Lagos State here. And at the end of the day, I resigned and started consulting and doing other things I do. Right now, I am an etiquette and image consultant. Most of the things that I saw then is still repeating itself. In fact, it's getting worse. Because you notice that even as I was working in those schools, I saw things, and then you put it up to the school owners, and they are telling you, no, that's not part of it. You can keep that aside first. We want to do something that will attract parents. So this is what they want. Most school owners are not seeing these things we're talking about, because their basic interest is to entice the parents and keep the children in the school. It's a competition. It's a very competitive world in the educational sector, to be honest. Because the truth is, even when one school wants to stand out as seeing something unique, it takes parents who actually have those values to be able to say, hey, this is what we want. This is where we're buying. Even if one parent says, I want to buy these particular values I've seen in this school, another parent says, no, that's not what we want to. I'm going this other way. In that place, your children are sure to pass the exam. So we talked about, we mumbled around so many things. Passing of examination, special center, all those things are just things that have become norm in the educational sector. But the truth is, how, from the question you've asked, how do we make this character development or character course to become, to be received in many of the schools? And then for us to be able to even help the children to become, that's the word, not to pass, but to become. Because what we have now is that they pass, they go through this. I dropped the curriculum and I dropped it in one of the schools that I thought would be able to say, okay, yes. They sat down and I don't even know if they sat down, they said they were going to go through it. They sat down, I suffered, going around schools to make sure that these things come out. And I said, look, I'm going to use this to drill your students on this matter. And it's not a subject. I remember saying that, don't take it as a subject. Just give me 1 day in a week. I'll come with my team and we'll do this for you. Because we want to bring up total children. Not just, you're very good academically, yes. You're good, you go out for computer, but look at the lifestyle of these children. You complain every time, oh, the kids are wayward, the kids are this, they are corrupt. But the truth is, there are so many things about their character where they are not getting from their homes. And they've come here, let's help you build them. And they kept it and they put it under the shelf severally. And so at one point I gave up and I said, okay, it's all right. But at one point I said, okay, let me even do it without even paying. Forget about the money.
let me come in and see if I can help as a volunteer. It's a no. We have it already in our subjects. There are so many subjects we are handling this. So this is where the challenge is. Not that people are not willing to do these things, but how many schools are ready to embrace? First of all, before you embrace anything, you've seen something wrong, right? There's a vacuum you want to fill. So how many schools are actually seeing it? And then at the end of the day, to be able to say, okay, they want to do it, they want to invite this. So it starts from the school, and then the parents too have their own things. It's a very big thing, it's a big boil. I don't know how we're going to crack this, but the truth is, there's so much work to be done in the whole place. Thank you so much.
All morning and all day trying to crack it. Yes, thank you very much. I do have to be the last of questions because of time. My co-workers have told me that we have to, yes, so I'm calling on the MCs to come now. And I can see that books from, maybe you handle that, speakers brought books. So we would like to do a quick recognition. They will handle this. Do you have questions? They didn't bring them.
I think we just reach the question. Well, some in different shadows, but I'll just read through the questions. Some are quite repetitive questions, so that we don't waste so much of time. This person here is asking for the best way to okay, don't beat the child. Now, how?
Except they want to wait and meet with any of the children that are still around.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't know we had questions.
Okay. Okay, but all right. So I don't know the platform, the online platform that the question will be asked. If possible, if we could, give answers to them on the platform. Okay. A round of applause for our panelists. I hope we all got something out of this session. Because the purpose of this session is not just for us to take down punch lines and to do wow. That's first level of it. The second level is for us to take actions with what we have heard. So thank you so much, our panelists. I think we're moving straight to recognition. Yeah, Gbemiga August, it's time for you to shoot.
Without a gun.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the following individuals that will be presenting gifts to. I think we should start from our yes. Okay, so we'd like to call on Mr. Bayomi Kadiri to do this presentation.
Mr. Bayomi Kadri is the longest standing RCV fan since 2015. Longest standing. Yeah, sir, you could go on the stage. Come to the stage. Thank you, sir. You help us present the awards. Okay, let's start with that.
You see everything. Okay.
All right. So
this award comes on Oyedamola Adebowale, the prestigious recognition as a character ambassador. Thank you for partnering with RCV to build a greater Nigeria as a volunteer discussant at the 9th National Character Parenting Summit. Thank you so much.
We need a picture with a yeah, and without Mr. Kadri. Mr. Uzagu, just one more picture, please. 4 of them, please. Yes. Ma, please. I will need the. All right. Thank you.
Okay, would want Mr. Kunle Adeloya to please come for the next presentation of her word. Mr. Kunle Adeloya. Let's put our hands together for him.
I also need protocol officials in front. Protocol.
Then Mr. Olusola please come forward. Then Dr. Mrs. Yetunde Onoji. So Mr. Kunle Adeloya, Mr. Olusola Obasa, Dr. Mrs. Yetunde Onoji, and okay, please, we'd like to call Mrs. Adekoya for the next presentation of plaque. Please let's put our hands together as we welcome Ms. Adekoya. As she does this presentation to Yomi Adewale. So this award confers on Yomi Adewale the prestigious recognition as a character ambassador. Thank you for partnering with RCV to build a greater Nigeria as a volunteer discussant at the 9th National Character Parenting Summit. Mr. Obasa, Mr. Olushola.
Mr. Olushola Obasa.
Powerhouse band, our power woman. She'll be doing,
our young daddy.
Presentation to our next speaker. So he reads these awards confers on David Adegboyega, the prestigious recognition as the character ambassador. Thank you for partnering with RCV to build a greater Nigerian as a volunteer discussant at the 9th National Parenting Summit. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Please, our discussants brought books. Many of the books that they have written. I know during while the Olufemi family were speaking, there were a lot of emphasis on reading, and even one of our questions even spoke to how parents should build the culture of reading. That is even as parents, so that children can also take up that culture. So our discussants have brought books. They are available for purchase. Please do well to go to the book stand to at least get something to get yourself equipped with parenting in the 21st century. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much.
Okay. At this point, we just have a few minutes. Is Dorcas in the hall?
Dorcas. Yeah. Then also Damilare.
Okay. The title. Okay, Parenting Boys. So we have a couple of books here by one of our discussants, Yomi Adewale. So the book, I think, is co-authored by her husband. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we have BC and Yomi Adewale, Parenting Boys. Then there's also Parenting Girls in the books. Then there's another book here, Oh Lord, Anoint My Children for Greatness. So it has 680 prayer bullets on Oh Lord, Anoint my children for greatness. We also have My Children Must Prosper. My Children Must Prosper with over 400 prayer bullets. Character Development Education, Parent Teaching Manual, Book 2. So this is also quoted by... So Character Development Education, Sexual Purity Education, Parent Teaching Manual, Book 9. So, I mean, there's a Parent Teaching Manual series. Yes. So there are different series on Parent Teaching Manual. There's a book, 5-year Emotional Growth Education, Book 8, Attitudinal Developmental Education, 23 Smart Ways to Choose a Life Partner, Singles in the House, praise the Lord.
Yeah, they are still singles. They are very single.
They are single. You are single, you are single. 23 Foolish Ways to Choose a Life Partner. Life partner people.
Singles, these are books for you.
Next year, we're having very many marriages. 101 Foolish Things Ladies Must Never Do in Life and Relationship, plus more than 80 real life story. This book is the biggest of all the books.
Yes.
And is around women and ladies. So all of these books are behind for our purchase. We have a book here by Nancy Ekwezu, Effective Boarding House Administration.
As if you have boarding house.
Or you have a child in boarding house.
So you could, in case they don't know, you can advise them.
By Nancy Ekwezu, Dear Educator, Tips to Get Ahead as a 21st Century Educator. Another book by her, The School Administrator's Companion, A Practical Guide to Effective School Administration. Thank you so much. Then we also have a book by the convener of NCPS, by Mrs. Bosede Olushola Obasa, Imperatives of Sustainable Leadership Reputation, 10 R codes to sustain all you attain. So this book also is up for grabs. I know we gave out quite a number earlier today. And like we mentioned earlier, it wasn't just a giveaway. It was, it is an investment to growth. It's an investment to exposure. So please do well to read it and purchase a copy. We have copies at the back. You can gift someone. You can buy for your library. You can have them also as books that your family read at any point in time.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I believe that we have all been enjoying today's show, today's event, and we have been blessed tremendously. Okay, so quickly, as part of the supporting brand for RCV and the National Character Parenting Summit, Abode, if you check, how many of us can see the screen there? How many of us can see the screen? Yeah, you see different organizations there. You see one very fine company there called Abode. Yeah, I represent Abode. So quickly, Abode is a platform. I'm the MC. I have 30 minutes. All right, so quickly. So Abode is a fractional real estate platform that allows people to own real estate assets with a little as 25,000 naira. So nowadays, what happens is that for people to be able to own houses, own shops or own different things, you need a huge sum of money, right? You need to be able to have maybe 50 million, 30 million to build a house, put tenants in it, and be able to earn rent. So, but what Abode is doing is that Abode is bridging that gap, that you don't need to have so much money. Even if you have 25,000 naira, you have 50,000 naira. We have created an avenue whereby multiple people can contribute. So just with your 50,000 naira, you can in a housing project.